to the show. It's the deep dive vortex where the truth will flow. We're digging deep, uncovering the lies, breaking news and stories that'll open your eyes. From missing persons to the darkest crime, we'll take you on a journey, real stories every time. Catch the pulse of the streets, feel the rhythm alive. Tune in with us as we strive to survive. This is the Deep Dive.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into a really tragic event, the shooting at the Sky Meadow Country Club in Nashua, New Hampshire.
Yeah, very difficult situation.
We've got police reports, prosecutor statements, witness accounts. Our goal here is to sort of synthesize all that, get past the early confusion, and really clarify what we know for sure about the facts, the legal side, and, the ongoing investigation into why this happened.
It's a stark example, really, of how sudden violence just completely shatters normalcy. You look at the sources, the shock is palpable. This happened around, 7:30, 8:80 p.m.?
Right, in the evening.
Exactly, during peak times, things that are supposed to be joyous, celebratory.
That contrast is just devastating when you think about it. You had a wedding reception going on in the banquet hall, people celebrating, dancing. And then right next door in the prime restaurant, families having dinner. One witness described it as totally surreal.
Like out of a movie, I think they said.
Yeah, people just scattering, hiding under tables, utter chaos.
And that image, that immediate chaos, that's really the starting point for any first responders arriving on scene. It's incredibly difficult.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's that old saying in emergency response.
Yeah.
The first reports you get are almost always wrong.
And we definitely saw that play out here in the initial hours, didn't we?
We did.
The sources show there were initial reports flying around about maybe 2 shooters on the run.
Right. Massive confusion.
It caused enough panic that they even issued a shelter-in-place order for Dunstable, Massachusetts, which is just over the state line. How does that kind of initial fragmented information impact those critical first few minutes for police?
Well, it just ratchets up the risk immediately for everyone, responders included. They have to treat the entire area as potentially hostile until they can confirm otherwise.
Makes sense.
But what's notable here, actually, is how fast they seem to correct that narrative. Police were able to confirm, apparently using surveillance video from the club itself, that there was only one shooter. And crucially, that this individual was secured on scene quite quickly.
So that quick correction, even with all that chaos and all those witnesses running around, that suggests a pretty efficient initial response, wouldn't you say?
I think it does. It speaks to preparedness, having resources like surveillance accessible, and probably good training by the Nashua PD.
Okay, let's shift to the human impact, which is just heartbreaking here. Authorities confirmed one person was killed, 59-year-old Robert DeCesar.
Yeah, and the circumstances are just terrible. Mr. DeCesar was apparently just having dinner.
Just a normal evening out.
With his wife, Charlene, married 27 years, the report said, and his daughter, in the restaurant. He was apparently a regular there, enjoyed golf, poker.
Pickleball, too, I saw it mentioned. Just enjoying his life.
Exactly.
And the detail that just stays with you. His daughter was supposed to get married in about 6 weeks.
Awful. Just awful.
A father, a husband, just tragically taken. And we really need to stress this point. Authorities have said repeatedly there is no known connection right now between the shooter and Mr. DeCesar.
It appears, based on everything we know now, to be tragically random.
Beyond the fatality, 2 other people were shot.
That's right. The first person hit, we understand, was an employee of the country club.
Okay.
That individual was flown to Mass General in Boston. Last reports had them in critical but stable condition.
Critical but stable. Okay.
Yeah.
And the other gunshot victim
Was another restaurant patron, listed as stable, but apparently with significant injuries.
Right. And then there are those other injuries you always hear about in these mass panic situations.
Yeah, the non-gunshot injuries. 4 other people, the reports say, were hurt, either trying to escape or even trying to intervene.
That really speaks to the danger beyond the weapon itself, doesn't it? The risk of being trampled, falling, just the sheer physical panic.
It paints a picture of the immediate widespread terror. But, amidst all that chaos, the sources also point to a moment of incredible bravery.
Yes, absolutely. There was a civilian intervention.
A really critical one.
It sounds like some witnesses identified him as possibly the wedding DJ, actually confronted the shooter?
He did. He reportedly hit the shooter over the head with a chair.
Just paid that tab, getting ready to leave, and I heard pop. And there's a big wedding going on. I thought it was a balloon. Then all of a sudden, pop, pop, and I saw the guy with the gun. I got up immediately, hit him in the head with a chair. Another guy tackled him. He's got a pretty good cut on his head. And when I hit him in the head with a chair, he dropped his gun and ran. The wedding was in a different room. It was in a completely different room than where we were. We were in a dining room, the restaurant. And so once it happened, people from the wedding started coming out and saying, what happened? And it was nothing to do with the wedding. He just walked into the main entrance, he shot one. There's 2 bullet casings in the hallway, and then he entered the restaurant and just continued to shoot.
Wow.
Which caused the suspect to drop the weapon, a semi-automatic according to reports, and then flee that immediate spot.
That action, I mean, prosecutors themselves called it out, right?
They did. They specifically highlighted these selfless and heroic acts by citizens. They credited these actions with likely saving lives, preventing more injuries.
So that intervention wasn't just brave, it was genuinely impactful from a safety perspective.
Absolutely. And from an investigative standpoint, too, disrupting the shooter like that helps contain the scene, helps ensure the suspect is apprehended quickly, which we know happened here.
Okay, so after the suspect was secured, the aftermath must have been a huge logistical challenge for police.
Immense.
You have dozens and dozens of witnesses, many traumatized, from both the wedding and the restaurant.
Right, all needing to be interviewed.
They gathered them initially at a nearby fire station, Spitbrook Parkway, to get preliminary statements, then transported them by bus to a reunification center set up at the Sheraton Hotel, family members weighing, Red Cross there. You just picture that scene, people in shock, still in their wedding clothes, tuxedos, fancy dresses.
It's hard to imagine managing that many witnesses, each with a potentially different viewpoint, many dealing with acute trauma. That's a massive undertaking for investigators.
And it explains the scale of the response we saw. Nashua police leading, but help from Massachusetts agencies, K-9 units, drones checking the area.
They had to secure a large perimeter and process a very complex scene, all while managing the human element.
Okay, let's pivot to the legal side now. The suspect identified as 23-year-old Hunter Nadau from Nashua. What's his current legal status?
So Nadau has been charged with reckless second-degree murder.
Reckless second-degree murder. Can you break that down for us? What does that specific charge mean in New Hampshire?
Sure. It essentially means the prosecution believes his actions showed an extreme indifference to the value of human life, that he consciously disregarded a substantial and unjustifiable risk, and that disregard caused the death.
Okay, so why reckless second-degree murder right now? Why not, say, first-degree or intentional murder? Is it about speed?
It's often a strategic decision early on. Reckless murder can sometimes be easier to establish quickly based on the immediate facts. Firing a gun into a crowded room demonstrates that extreme indifference pretty clearly.
Right.
It allows them to get a serious charge filed quickly, one that ensures the suspect is held without bail, which he is.
Okay, so it secures the suspect while they build the rest of the case.
Exactly. Prosecutors have already said they anticipate bringing additional charges, possibly more severe ones, once the case goes before a grand jury. They have, I believe, 90 days for that process.
And Nadau waived his arraignment. He's being held without bail, and there's a probable cause hearing set for October 1st. But the big question, the one everyone asks in these situations, is why?
That's the central mystery right now.
Especially given, as we said, no known link to Mr. DeCesar, what are investigators saying about motive?
Officially, the motive is unknown. That's the primary focus of the ongoing investigation. They're digging into his background, what happened beforehand, any potential triggers.
Now, we do have to address something sensitive that's come up in the reporting alleged statements made by the suspect around the time of the incident.
Yes, there are reports, cited in various sources, that he uttered phrases like "Free Palestine" and other concerning phrases.
How are the authorities, specifically the prosecutors, handling those reported statements, especially given how charged that kind of language is right now?
They're being very careful, which is standard practice. They've acknowledged they are aware of the reports. They are investigating the context. If they were said, when they were said, how they were said. But crucially, they have stated publicly they cannot confirm or discount, at this stage, whether any political or social ideology played a role.
Why hold back like that? If those words were allegedly spoken during the event, wouldn't that point directly to a motive?
Well, this gets into a key legal aspect of the early investigation. The prosecution successfully requested that the statement of probable cause be sealed by the court.
The probable cause statement, that's the document laying out the initial police evidence for the arrest.
Exactly. It details the facts justifying the arrest and the charges.
So sealing it means what exactly? For the investigation and for the public trying to understand.
It means that information isn't public right now. The main reason prosecutors do this is to protect the integrity of the ongoing investigation.
How so?
Well, it prevents potential defense arguments being built prematurely based on early, possibly incomplete, witness statements before the police have interviewed everyone thoroughly. It also protects the identities and privacy of the many, many witnesses involved.
Okay.
So while it definitely slows down the public release of details, like the context of those alleged statements, it's a strategic move to ensure the evidence gathered is solid and the case isn't jeopardized before it even gets to the grand jury.
So the fact that Nashua police still have, as they said, dozens of people left to interview, it really underscores that the investigation into his mindset, the why, is still in its very early, very sensitive stages, even though they made the arrest quickly.
Precisely. They've secured the person they believe is responsible, which is priority one. But now comes the painstaking work of building the full picture, understanding the intent, the motive. They'll be looking at digital footprints, talking to associates, really trying to understand the lead-up. The initial reckless murder charge reflects that strategy: secure the suspect, then build the comprehensive case.
That difference between the speed needed for an arrest and the depth required for a full investigation, especially into motive, it really highlights the complexity here.
It does.
Now, this is video of first responders rushing victims from the scene. We're told the shooting happened at around 8 o'clock tonight inside the Sky Meadow Country Club. Now, right now, detectives are interviewing dozens of witnesses at a nearby fire station on Spitbrook Parkway in Nashua. Police say there was only one shooter, and they say that person is in custody. Now, we've got some new video from the chopper that was hovering over the scene until police requested it back off just a few minutes ago as police continued their investigation on site, trying to sort out exactly what transpired tonight. The Sky Meadow Country Club is on Mountain Laurels Drive. Now, that's not very far from the Massachusetts border. And at one point tonight, police posted a shelter-in-place order for a neighborhood in Dunstable, Massachusetts, which is just across the state line. Good evening to you, and thanks for joining us. I'm Ken McLeod. Police are just about to give an update on the incident. That should happen sometime during this newscast. We're bringing you live team coverage on this active investigation tonight. Let's go ahead and begin with WBZ's Samantha Cheney. She just spoke to a guest at the wedding there, where they're stationed there at the fire station, I believe, on Spitbrook Parkway.
Yeah, Ken, we just spoke with a witness who told me she was a friend of the bride. She described this incident as surreal. She said it was like a moment out of a movie, something you never expect to actually have to live through. She says everyone was on the dance floor having a great time when all of a sudden she heard shots fired. She says she ran, she got under a table and hid under a tablecloth, just afraid of what was going to happen next. She says that another guest actually hit that suspect over the head. They saw everyone running, scattering, was just really unsure of what was actually happening. She was afraid for her life. Now, we have some things confirmed by police tonight. Initially, they were searching for two shooters, but I can tell you right now that's now been called off. Nashua police, they have confirmed on social media and an officer here on the scene saying that surveillance video actually showed just one shooter opening fire at an event, that wedding that we now know happened inside of the Sky Meadow Country Club tonight, and that person has now been detained. Now, I-team sources, they tell us that multiple people were shot. That woman that I spoke with, that witness, she says she saw 3 people injured. Somebody looked like they were receiving help as if they were hit by something in their lower back. She wasn't sure if that person was shot or not, but she did see those people there. Police tell us that at least one person is dead. That was a man. And I want to get to that witness that I spoke with tonight just to kind of explain that scary situation that was happening inside of the country club.
The police just running in with their guns, just running in and out, going through the back, the patio area by the golf, just searching around, trying to find somebody. And other cops just kind of escorting everybody into a locked room, like I said, where there's no windows around.
So you barricaded yourself
correct.
So you wouldn't get shot?
I first initially hid under the table with a tablecloth. So then your next thought is, okay, am I safe here? Am I a sitting duck? I mean, what's going to happen? Is this guy going to come through? Is he going to be looking under tablecloths? Is he going to be, just shooting everyone in the room? I mean, you don't know. It's very scary to experience something like that. From what I was talking with a gentleman in there who took a chair, hit him over the head. He dropped the gun. The man fled. He went through the reception area into the kitchen. He had blood on him. He made some comments.
What did he say?
He said, "At least the children are safe." Yeah. And then he escaped, and we don't know where he went at that point. But he said someone said, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "F you, I'm the shooter."
And that's where one male was shot and killed. Several other people were told were wounded.
Now tonight we have seen multiple witnesses being brought out of the Spitbrook fire station here. There are still people inside of the garage. We saw a bus taking them over to the Sheraton Hotel just down the road, where we're told they will be reunited with their family. And as you mentioned, we're supposed to get official information, more information from police. There's going to be a presser with the Attorney General here at any moment. So as we get more updates, I'll be sure to let you know. Live here in Nashua, New Hampshire, I'm Samantha Cheney,
John Formela,
WBZ.
who we hope will be providing a news conference and more information for us in just a matter of minutes. But he's confirming not much more than we already knew, which is a man has been killed during this shooting and several other people were wounded. We still don't have an exact number. Now, the gunfire sent people scrambling from the country club, as you heard from that woman, in a panic. And when word of the shooting began to spread, relatives rushed to the Sky Meadow to check on their loved ones. WBZ's Logan Hall is at the Sheraton Hotel, where families have gone to be reunited with their loved ones.
So I'm at the Reunification site, which is just off of Terra Boulevard at the Sheraton Hotel, and just moments ago a bus pulled up here and about 24 people got off of that bus. We're going to show you some video from that moment where you can see these folks getting off of this bus visibly shaken up, ranging in ages, some elderly on the bus, some young people on that bus, even some children entering into the hotel, hopefully to be reunited with their family members. There are several police cars here on the ground, several fire trucks on the ground here, and even people from the Red Cross here to assist those in need. Now, there's still lots of information that we don't know about what happened this evening. I can tell you that many of the people getting off of that bus were wearing suits and tuxedos as if they had just come from a wedding. Now, as this information continues to come out tonight, we will be here to bring you the very latest. Reporting in Nashua, Logan Hall, WBZ News.
Okay, Logan, thanks. We are joined now by former Boston Police Chief turned WBZ security analyst Ed Davis. Ed, we appreciate you joining us tonight. Thank you very much. Let's first go ahead and talk about the early moments of this thing. There's always a panic as people flee and then recount their versions for responding officers, which are sometimes, as you know, accurate and sometimes not. How important is it to separate fact from fiction in those early stages?
Hi, Ken. It certainly is a difficult problem when you first get to the scene like this and trying to sort things out and make sure you're getting valid information. And there's an old saying that all the information you get at first is usually wrong. So we have to be very cautious in what we speak about. But in a situation where there are this many witnesses, you do start to be able to build a picture pretty quickly. Some people will be off a little bit this way, some people off a little bit that way. But it's great that the Nashua Police Department has pulled all of the witnesses together in one place. They'll methodically take statements from each one of the people that had specific evidence to provide. But of course, their first responsibility at the scene is to treat the wounded, first of all, secure the shooter, and it sounds like that happened very quickly. As a matter of fact, it sounds like there may be a hero in this particular incident. But they secured the shooter very quickly, then provide medical attention to the victims, and then get everybody aside and begin to sort the thing out. The other thing I want to say is, in a large event like this, not only do you have the gunfire, but you also have people running and the real possibility of trampling injuries. So people could have been hurt just attempting to get away from the gunfire.
Ed, in this instance, we at first were told there were two possible shooters and that they were both on the run. It later turned out that there was one, and he was apparently detained at the scene after the police looked at surveillance video. Is there any attention paid to motive in these early stages, or is that not very important?
Well, it's not the most important thing that happens, but there is always attention to the motive because it drives the interrogation that occurs. It is a very important part of a criminal case, not absolutely necessary, but certainly better for the prosecution if there is some type of motivation they can determine. And if this guy was making statements as he ran away, that motivation may be right on the surface. It might not be hard to figure this one out.
Okay. Ed, what are police doing right now, and what will they be doing overnight?
Well, they've secured the crime scene. There was a full response by police agencies from Massachusetts and New Hampshire, including drones and dogs and everything you can think of. So Kevin Rourke is a police chief up in Nashua. He's a very good police chief and runs a great organization up there. They know what to do, and they called in to get all the help that they could get. But right now, they've secured the scene. They've transported the victims. They have set up a crime scene response process so that experts can go in and catalog and document every piece of physical evidence that's there at the scene. And then, as I said before, they've separated the witnesses and they are going to start talking to them one by one. Sounds like there's a lot of people involved, and logistically that can be a problem. So that'll go through the entire night and into tomorrow, I'm sure.
Former Boston Police Chief Ed Davis joining us tonight to talk about this shooting at the country club in Nashua, New Hampshire. Ed, thanks for your expertise. We appreciate it.
Charlene DeCesar said in a statement that you'd be hard-pressed to find a man as loved as her husband, Robert. Now, at this point, authorities say there is no known connection between Robert and that shooter.
Mr. DeCesar was just having dinner with his family at the country club, and his life was tragically taken.
One family is grieving and many others are in shock following the horrific events that unfolded at Sky Meadow Country Club in Nashua Saturday night.
We saw a gunman. He was in all black. He was tall. He was thin. He had a semi-auto weapon. We just saw him raise the gun and then we ran.
Authorities say 59-year-old Robert DeCesar was killed when the suspect opened fire inside the restaurant. In a statement to ABC News, his wife of 27 years said he enjoyed golf, poker, and pickleball. She said, quote, "I cannot say enough how grateful I am for the outpouring of support from our friends and community." Some community members gathered outside Nashua City Hall on Sunday to pay tribute to DeCesar and the many other people impacted by the shooting. Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander was there.
I'm grateful to our community. My heart is with the victims of this tragedy and their families.
Just there for October 1st. We did get a glimpse of this suspect as he is in custody in New Hampshire after opening fire at the Sky Meadow Country Club, but just around 7 or 7:30 on Saturday night, killing one person who was having dinner with his wife and daughter in the restaurant. Robert DeCesar, his daughter was scheduled to get married in about 6 weeks. He was killed. 2 others were wounded. There was a wedding also going on in the banquet hall there at Sky Meadow, and that caused hundreds of people to go running for cover in the area. So we just have witnessed that arraignment be waived. He is charged with second-degree murder, although additional charges could be coming after this case potentially goes to a grand jury. We'll keep you updated throughout the afternoon. For now, back to ABC.
Charge. Our NBC 10's Jericho Tran spoke with his grandmother. She's joining us from the Nashua police station with more of what she had to say. Jericho.
Yeah, Hunter Nadau's grandmother spoke to us from inside of her apartment. She did not comment on the murder charge that her grandson is facing, but she did issue an apology for the families affected by this shooting. Take a listen.
Sorry that he did that, and he was always a good boy, and I don't understand what happened. I can't believe that he did it. I can't hardly believe this, to tell you the truth. It's overwhelming.
Hunter Nadau's grandmother speaking with us through the door of her apartment where neighbors say she raised her grandson.
He's been very quiet. His grandmother brought him up. We've seen no issues with him at all.
Yes, I can.
Police say he walked into Sky Meadow Country Club on Saturday, where he shot and killed 59-year-old Robert DeCesar, who was sitting down enjoying a meal with his wife and daughter. Today, the autopsy report revealed that DeCesar died from several bullets. The owner of the club reading this statement from DeCesar's wife, Charlene DeCesar.
My name is Rob Parsons, and I am the owner of Sky Meadow Country Club. I'm reiterating, I won't be taking any questions, but I'm here to read a statement on behalf of Sky Meadow, followed by a message I've been asked to deliver from Charlene DeCesar, Robert's wife, Michaela's father. I, along with everyone within the Sky Meadow Country Club community, am heartbroken over the tragic event that unfolded Saturday night. This was the heinous act of a coward who will be held accountable for what he did. To the DeCesar family, there are no words to express the pain and sorrow you and our community are feeling over Robert's murder. He is a hero. To our very own employee, Steve, and another guest who was shot and are recovering, and to countless others that were impacted, we're here for you and your families always. We are profoundly grateful for the courageous efforts of the patrons and employees who acted selflessly to prevent further tragedy. There were many heroes that night. We also extend our deepest appreciation to the Nashua Police Department. I can't say enough about them. They've acted swiftly. I can't say enough about them, that's all I can say. We also extend our deepest appreciation to the Nashua Police Department, as I said, New Hampshire Attorney General's Office, and the multiple other law enforcement agencies whose swift action led to the perpetrator's capture within minutes. And to the first responders who cared for the victims, our heart goes out to you, and we're very thankful. From the first moments of this incident, we have worked closely with law enforcement, and we will continue to do so for the many days ahead, many long days. Sky Meadow and the city of Nashua are safe, tight-knit communities. Nothing more could closer to the truth than that. We're built on fellowship, compassion, and resilience. Those values have been on full display in the thousands of messages, well in excess of 3,000 and counting, messages of support that I've received. That's just me personally, just since this horrific incident began. The safety, security, and well-being of our members, guests, and staff are and always will remain my highest priority. We will not let the cowardly acts of this perpetrator define us, nor our community. This morning, I spoke with Charlene DeCesar. The strength that she and her family have displayed throughout all of this is nothing short of remarkable. She's truly a rock. I don't know how she's doing it. She's a remarkable woman. She wanted me to first say what her first thing she said was, everyone needs to know I am not leaving Sky Meadow and I'm not leaving this community. This is my solace. This is my home. And I'm staying. I'm not certain I could say the same. Driving up the driveway into the haven that we love so much. I don't know how it's not viewed through a different lens by her, but it isn't. And for that, I'm eternally grateful, because I will not only have a friend and member, I have a neighbor who lives 300 yards away from my home. So thank you, Charlene. Here is her statement. As devastated and traumatized as we are feeling right now, I know this has to be incredibly hard for everyone at Sky. What we need to take from this is just what an incredible community we have here. The outpouring of love, support, food, even offers to sit with me and make sure I'm not alone. The little things and the big things that are beyond words. The people of Sky are my heart right now, and I'm forever grateful. And if anyone who lives on the third fairway can give me a lifetime pass to keep putting the balls in their backyard, that would be a bonus. She apologizes, but she's trying to find some levity at this time of crisis. That's the person she is. For that, I'm eternally grateful to have her as my neighbor and my friend. And with that, once again, I know it's very hard and it's your job, but I'm going to ask that you please grant me that wish to just travel to my car without any questions. And at some point, I will do this again if I can, when the time affords it, when it's allowed, and I'll answer any questions that anyone has. But this is not the time, as it's an ongoing investigation. And I thank you all for coming. And I'm sorry you had to be here. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Attorney General John Formela, and I'm joined here by Nashua Police Chief Kevin Rourke. And we're just here to provide a few updates on our investigation into the tragic shooting that took place last night here in Nashua at Sky Meadow Country Club. I want to start by just saying that our hearts go out to the victims in this case, most importantly, Robert DeCesar and his family and loved ones. Mr. DeCesar was just having dinner with his family at the country club, and his life was tragically taken. So our hearts go out to him and his family. Our hearts go out to the other victims at the event. I just want to provide a little detail there. We had 2 other gunshot victims, as we put in our release earlier. One of those victims was an employee of the restaurant. One of those victims was a patron. We had 4 other individuals suffer non-gunshot wounds. Those 4 individuals were all patrons. Now, the investigation is in the early stages, so it is possible that we may learn of other individuals who suffered wounds as they were trying to leave the club and get out of there. But at this point, that's what we know. We have the deceased, we have 2 other gunshot victims, and we have 4 non-gunshot wounds. Thanks to the quick action of law enforcement and some quick and selfless actions of patrons in the restaurant, this ended up being a fairly contained event. It lasted well under a minute, and it was not nearly as tragic as it could have been. So I want to commend Nashua PD and all of the first responders who were quick to the scene. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the patrons in the restaurant who acted selflessly and quickly with more care for their fellow citizens than for themselves to help keep this a contained event and minimize this tragedy as much as it could. This is still a very tragic event, but it could have been much worse. I want to talk a little bit about our suspect and now defendant, Hunter Nadau, 23 years old. He's a Nashua resident, and as we put out earlier this morning, he's been arrested and charged with reckless second-degree murder for shooting Mr. DeCesar. As the investigation continues, we expect that additional charges will be added, but we're in the early stages, and at this point he's been charged with reckless second-degree murder. Mr. Nadau is, as I said, a Nashua resident. He's a former employee of the club, and I want to talk a little bit about the statements he's made and what we know about his motive. There's been reports that he made certain statements such as Free Palestine, but based on the evidence we have gathered, Mr. Nadau made a number of statements during the event, and we don't have any evidence at this time that would indicate that Mr. Nadau was motivated by a hate-based motivation. In fact, I would say that at this point, the evidence leads us to believe that it is more likely that Mr. Nadau was simply trying to make a number of statements to create chaos in the moment. Again, the investigation's in its early stages, and we're still gathering a lot of information. There were a lot of witnesses present. They heard different things. They saw different things. They had different perspectives. They might remember things differently. But again, at this point, we don't have any evidence to indicate that this was a hate-based act. An autopsy will be conducted tomorrow for Mr. DeCesar by the chief medical examiner, and we expect that Mr. Nadau will be arraigned in Nashua District Court by WebEx. At this point, we believe that arraignment will take place at 1 p.m. The court could always change its schedule. I want to reemphasize the great work that law enforcement and first responders did last night, both Nashua PD and many other agencies who came to the aid of Nashua PD. I want to again commend the selfless acts of courage by the patrons in the restaurant who, again, put aside care for their own safety and worked to intervene and stop the shooter and keep this a much more contained event than it may otherwise have been. The governor has been briefed. We've been briefing the governor all night, so the governor and her team have been briefed on this, and they are aware of the details, and we're in close communication with them. I know she is monitoring this closely. Other state leaders have been kept informed and are monitoring this investigation and this situation. Just want to close by saying I know this has been a really tough last half day or so for the Nashua community and the state and all of the victims affected. Again, our hearts go out to them, and we're going to continue to work to gather information, gather evidence, and get to a point where we understand the motive behind this tragic event. We're still in the early stages, and I can't emphasize that enough. We're still in the early stages. We're less than 24 hours in, but we're going to keep working. We're going to keep gathering the evidence and the information to try to identify what the motive was here. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Rourke for a couple comments, and then we'll take questions.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Again, my name is Kevin Rourke, Chief of Police. First, my thoughts and prayers go out to the DeCesar family. This was a senseless act. I would also like to commend those civilians last night who showed quick and selfless action, putting themselves in harm's way. I want to commend the officers of the Nashua Police Department for an incredible job last night. Their teamwork, their courage, and resiliency were amazing. I want to also thank our partners from our local police departments, Manchester, Hollis, Hudson, Merrimack, Hillsborough County Sheriffs, New Hampshire State Police, Mass State Police, our federal partners, the ATF, the FBI, and HSI. We also worked hand in hand with AMR, National Fire Rescue, and the Emergency Management Office from City Hall, who were very instrumental in this investigation. If I forgot an agency, I apologize in advance. This was an incredible response from our officers and our partners. These officers relied on their training. We train a lot. We train for events like this. You have a different amounts of information being reported to you. Put yourself in their shoes. You were told there were multiple shooters on a golf course in the dark, wooded areas, residential area, and then the venue. They responded quickly, swiftly, and effectively. Within 30 minutes, these officers were able to find someone and detain them who ended up being the suspect. That is remarkable. Of events like this you see around the country or the world, to find someone in 30 minutes is pretty effective, pretty efficient, and they did it safely. At this time, we would take questions. I'll end my statement at that point.
Hey, General, you talked about he was a former employee at Sky Meadow. Do you believe he was targeting someone, and did the victim stop that?
We're not prepared to comment on that at this point. Again, we're trying to gather evidence and information related to motive, but the fact that he was a former employee is something we want to look further into.
Was he fired recently?
He hadn't worked there for about a year. I'm not familiar with his employment status when he left.
The employee that was injured with a gunshot, will you go into more detail about his title at the restaurant? Was he a manager?
I'm not going to go into more detail on that at this time.
Can you expand on some of the statements that you said that he also said in addition to Free Palestine?
I'm not going to get into what specific statements he made other than just to reemphasize he was making a lot of different statements, and it appears to us that it's more likely that those statements were intended to create chaos during the event and that they don't really give us much of a sense of his motive.
In terms of the event, can you help kind of separate between the restaurant and the wedding venue? I know there's been a little confusion. I know obviously it was chaotic for both scenes.
Sure.
Can you help kind of explain the layout, the proximity, and how that may have played into it?
Yeah, I'm going to let the chief take that because I think he's more familiar with it.
Sure, if you're familiar with the venue, as you come in, there's the reception halls, banquet halls onto the right-hand side. The first gentleman that was shot was, if you want to call him a host, but he was working for, I would say, the wedding venue as a host out here in the hallway by the bathrooms. The further incident, the next shooting, was in the Prime restaurant.
Did the suspect ever go into the wedding, or was he contained to the restaurant?
We don't have that information. It's still, like the general said, it's still ongoing. we're still learning things up to the minute.
Chief, you credited law enforcement. Can you walk us through his arrest, like in that 30 minutes? Where was he arrested? Did he try to get away?
No, he did not get away. He was cooperative. They found him in a nearby neighborhood. But again, put yourself in the officer's shoes. You think there's two out there. It's a very dangerous situation, so tactics have to come into play. But they did find him in a nearby neighborhood.
Was he still armed?
I'm not going to answer that question right now.
The two gunshot victims, you heard that one of them was ill. Can you just go into their conditions, the details of their conditions right now?
One of them's at Mass General, and they are critical but stable.
One of them was airlifted.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk about the resources used by law enforcement throughout the night last night that helped them find the suspect?
Sure. There was many resources, Mass State Police, New Hampshire State Police, our own units, our own specialty units, the drone unit. Those things were up in the air pretty quickly. In law enforcement, we're all one entity, right? So we develop partnerships and that brotherhood, which is taught from day one. And, I can't thank the other agencies for the mutual aid. The quick, swift response was incredible. In fact, overwhelming, because I couldn't answer all the calls at once. But everybody just called. They wanted to help, and they came and helped. And that is a big, big scene. You have people going everywhere, and you're trying to figure things out and process information as things are coming in. So it's a very difficult situation to process, but I can't commend our officers enough for what they did.
Did you have lockdowns in neighborhoods? A lot of people, especially elderly, live in the Huntington, Langdon Place, and not to mention Sky Meadow. Were they placed in lockdown briefly?
They were not, and like I said, I guess you can call it controlled chaos at that point, and the quick response of once we were able to figure out there was one shooter and we had detained one, I didn't feel it was necessary to do that, and plus you're dealing with all the injuries, the witnesses at the scene, and then where we put them up at National Fire Rescue on Spitbrook Road. So you got to get a lot of assets in there and a lot of people in there.
How long was he inside the restaurant, inside the venue, and did he engage with anybody as he left?
That I don't know.
You don't know how long he was inside?
I don't know.
Where did the initial confusion come from about two shooters? Was it through 911 calls?
I don't know. I know that was put out there, and we're dealing with information, and you got to discard the erroneous information and then the facts, right? So we're trying to get to the facts. Yes.
Was Nadau familiar with National PD and vice versa? Was he on kind of? Did you know who he was? Had he had any dealings with him in the past?
That I don't know, sir. I don't know.
He had no
think
record.
his political beliefs played a part in this?
Again, we're still gathering evidence and information related to his motive. We don't think the statements he made lead us to any particular motive, but again, we're in the early stages. So depending on what we learn as we look at the evidence, look at the info, we may change our determination.
Do you know how many people were in the restaurant, the wedding? How big of a wedding was it?
I don't know at this time. We are working on getting people back their property that was left at the wedding, so we're looking to get the list of the wedding, so I think we would find out then. Information that I have right now, I don't know how many.
The weapon was a handgun, correct, that the suspect had?
Yes.
We're hearing from witnesses, too, that people opened up their homes on the property and let them shelter in place while this was going on. What's kind of your reaction to that and what you're hearing from the community in the vicinity, the immediate area that stepped forward?
Honestly, I haven't heard that yet. It's a great community. That is a great area, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's true. So, but firsthand, I don't know that for sure.
Did he have a license for the firearm?
As far as ownership and license of the firearm, that's information we're not going to get into at this point, and it's part of the evidence that we're still gathering.
Can you please tell us about the other victims? You said 4 other people were somehow hurt. Can you tell us more about those folks?
Yeah, the 4 others that we're aware of, that when we think we know, it's 4. Non-gunshot wounds, and those were suffered in the course of either getting away from the event or in the intervention with the shooter We don't expect that those are going to be life-threatening injuries, but again, it's early, and we can't get into the details of their medical treatment.
Are the two who were shot both at the hospital right now, and are they expected to survive?
We can't get into prognosis on that right now. As the chief said, the employee who was shot was airlifted to a hospital in Massachusetts and is in critical but stable condition. The other gunshot victim, we don't have the details on at this point.
Do you know how he left the country club? Was he chased out? Did he run out on his own?
We don't have all the specifics on that. We also don't want to get into that. Like I said earlier, the event itself was well under a minute, but after he left the area of the event, those details we're still looking to firm up.
Chief, can you just let people know, because a lot of people are watching this live, what to do if they were in the restaurant or in the wedding and their cards are there, their belongings are there, etc.?
We are posting stuff on Twitter. We will keep you updated once we can get them their stuff. We want to get them their stuff, so the venue can go on. We will keep you, the public, informed of getting their property back to them.
Still an active crime scene for the rest of the day?
As far as I know.
And is state police major crime involved, or are you guys process?
National Police Department in conjunction with the Attorney General's office.
FBI still involved? I know you thank your federal partners.
Yes. Are they still involved? No. I mean, they're always, we have partnerships with them, so they're always available. Are they here today? No.
All right. Well, thank you all. We will provide more information once we have it available. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, you said the web ad here going to be on.
All right, we're going to take you back to New Hampshire, where a press conference is underway after that country club shooting over the weekend.
Had some
Let's listen.
preliminary questions for him. It's been adjourned to a probable cause hearing for October. After that probable cause hearing, the case is going to be adjourned to Superior Court, and we'll have 90 days to present indictments against the defendant. Later today, we expect another news release on autopsy results. We don't anticipate any further news releases in the case.
What do you have on a motive at this point, Peter?
That's still being developed. Nashua police are still actively investigating. We're going to actually stop by the police department today to talk to investigators, but motive or motives are still being investigated.
Even though he said Free Palestine and uttered certain concerning phrases, you still don't believe this had anything to do with a hate crime or anything more sinister?
Yeah, we're aware of statements that were reported that he made. The circumstances, whether he actually made them, under what circumstances he made them, are being investigated.
Can you talk about the pattern of what may have happened, kind of the way you understand it, just kind of how it unfolded, so that the public keeps asking questions about it?
Sure. And we are limited in the information we can give. We did provide the court to review a statement of probable cause and statements in support of that statement of probable cause. That has been sealed by court order. So pursuant to that order, we're very limited at the information we can share at this point in time. To the extent in the future we can share additional information, we will certainly do so, and that includes autopsy results, which will be later today. Sir, I think you had a question.
Can you describe what happened?
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't go into the details of the actual event.
And the charge is still? Yeah, the charge that exists and why there are not more charges at this point.
So there's one single charge. The defendant was charged with that because under New Hampshire state law, under that single charge, that's a no bail charge. So he's being held without bail because of that charge. We understand and realize there are additional victims. We anticipate there will be additional charges that both relate to those victims who have not been named yet, as well as the murder victim.
And it's still second degree?
At this point, it is second-degree murder.
Why second, not first?
It's second-degree murder because that's the charge that we decided based on the information we had during the course of the investigation. Again, as that further evidence develops and is brought to us, and we could at that time assess with all the evidence that we have what appropriate charges to bring to a grand jury within 90 days after the case is transferred to Superior Court.
Are you able to say how the other two victims are doing who were actually shot?
No, I'm not at liberty to say that. I don't want to disrespect their privacy at this point in time.
You don't have
I don't want to comment at this point in time. One of the injuries is non-life threatening. I would say the other one, the person is stable, but it's significant injuries.
Can you talk about his criminal past?
No, I cannot. Pursuant to my professional obligations. I
Would
cannot.
you be able to say that motive is still being investigated at this point, or have you solidified that?
No, I think it's being investigated throughout. Again, Nashua still has many people to interview. They've done an incredible job investigating this case, but there are dozens of people present, dozens of people who potentially may have information both as to what happened and also as to other matters that are relevant, such as motive. So the investigators need to continue that. It's only been a few days into the investigation, so they need to continue with that investigation. Once they get all that evidence and present it to us, at that point in time, we take a look at all the evidence and we present to the Attorney General what charges we think are appropriate to bring before the grand jury.
Would you be able to elaborate on the suspect's ties to Sky Meadow?
I believe the Attorney General addressed this yesterday, and I don't really have anything to add beyond that.
How unusual was this attack? How unusual was this attack?
I'm sorry.
How unusual was this attack?
Was attack. So I'm a homicide prosecutor in New Hampshire. I deal with homicides, so I really am in no position to say.
Can you say with certainty that this suspect acted alone, or did other people help him in any way before or after the incident?
So with respect to the actual shooting, we're confident that there was only one perpetrator. As to people who may have been involved, who may have known, we're still investigating them.
And are they cooperating with authorities?
When you say they, I don't know what you
Other people that you've been interviewing that are connected to the shooter, his family, relatives, friends, I assume they've all been talked to.
Yeah, I can say that at this point everybody has been cooperative who has been spoken to by investigators.
Peter, are you able to say at all if any political ideology played any kind of a role into what happened at the country club?
No, I'm not able to say that at this point in time.
Can you discount it?
No, I can't discount it either.
Did the defendant live alone?
That's a little more factual information that I can't get into at this point in time.
Peter, can you just give us some perspective on, a lot of people are just wondering what may have happened. Can you kind of put this case into some perspective of how it unfolded? I mean, this gentleman walks in and he's shooting people, and then he's saying these things, but can you kind of give a sense of what it is based on what your investigation has found so far?
Yeah, so again, you're going into the details of the crime. Facts have been presented to the judge in support of probable cause for the defendant's arrest. There was a sealing order, and pursuant to that sealing order, we cannot provide additional details at this point in time. To the extent we can, and we expect to do so after indictment, and that's when the investigation should be completed, we can share further information. But at this point in time, again, we don't want to in any way interfere with the integrity of the investigation that is still active and still ongoing.
Were the victims targeted, or were these all random shootings?
That's still being investigated. We have no evidence of that.
No evidence of what?
Of targeting.
So these were random shootings at this point, you believe?
I believe so.
He just came in and started shooting anybody?
Again, we're still developing what happened beforehand, what motivated him.
And then can you just talk about the role of the patrons, Good Samaritans, that jumped into action to stop the shooter from hurting anyone else?
Yeah, I can't go into details factually as to what happened, but I think the Attorney General addressed this in the news conference yesterday, that there were civilians who acted selflessly and heroically, and more lives likely would have been lost, and more people would have been injured if not for the selfless acts of citizens like yourselves.
Peter, this case is getting so much attention beyond our area because of the quote that he made, the statement, "Free Palestine," as he was making his getaway. I know you can't get into motive, and this is all still under investigation, but how much weight should people who are paying attention to this at this time in our country, how much weight should we be giving that or any other statement that he said during this event?
Well, I think that's a political question that goes beyond my job as a prosecutor. I think the Attorney General addressed some of this yesterday, and I really don't have anything to add beyond that.
Thank you.
If there are no further questions?
Can you describe the resources that you guys are deploying to?
Yeah, I'm sorry. A car went by and my hearing's bad.
Can you describe the resources that you guys have deployed to make sense of this case?
Yeah. So Nashua Police is a fully capable police unit, and they've been doing an extraordinary job. They have asked for some additional assistance from outside agencies, but it's primarily the Nashua Police Department that's investigating this. And again, it's done an extraordinary job, both in dealing with the crisis at hand as it was unfolding, and then investigating it afterwards. And they are the primary investigative agency in this. We are assisting them. Some other law enforcement agencies are assisting them, but it's primarily the Nashua Police Department who's done a great job.
Do you have a total number of victims? How many altogether, regardless of being actually shot?
So right now, I'll just rely on the statement that we gave in terms of gunshot victims, and there is one deceased, and there are 2 gunshot victims who are injured.
I know it's been said that some statements were made, but it's believed that that was possibly just to create chaos. But can you confirm that the statement Free Palestine was made?
Yeah, I can't confirm that. Again, this is based on witnesses, and we haven't gone through all the statements of all the witnesses, and there are dozens of witnesses. So until we actually review everything, we're limited in the information that we can provide and that we want to share. Because again, we don't want to be erroneous in information that we provide. If you recall, initially in this case, it was erroneously reported that it was multiple shooters, which turned out not to be the case. So we want to make sure we get not only the right information, but the fair information out there, and that's what we're trying to do through a thorough investigation.
Is there still no indication that this case will be taken over by federal authorities?
I have no reason to believe so.
So, wrapping up our deep dive today, the key things that stand out are how clarity emerged relatively quickly despite that initial chaos confirming one shooter, the undeniable importance of that civilian intervention in stopping further harm.
Absolutely critical.
And just the grim, senseless reality of a family dinner, a wedding celebration being shattered by violence that currently appears random.
And maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. Stemming from that legal strategy, you have this 90-day window now for the grand jury indictment.
Right.
What ultimately shapes the final charges? Will it be driven more by the speed needed to secure that initial reckless murder charge? Or will it be defined by the time and care taken to investigate these potentially complex, maybe politically charged elements of motive? It's that balance, that tension between speed and depth that investigators are navigating right now.
A really difficult tightrope to walk. That's a crucial piece of context as this story develops. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Be sure to follow us on our Facebook page and on DLive at www.dlive.tv/SYMradio. You can find all our social media links in the description below this video. God bless you all. Stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care, everyone.